Oh, hi, welcome back. Thanks for joining me for Midweek Encouragement. Man, Christmas is just about here, isn't it? But does it have to be over with? I'm excited, but when we look at the bigger picture of Christmas, for me, Christmas isn't about receiving gifts. But, I don't mind receiving gifts. There's a few things I could use, but most of the things that I like, I could just go out and get if I wanted them bad enough. But it's great to be able to give gifts, it's great to have them. But we got to be careful that those gifts don't take us away from what Christmas is about. For me, just like what Jesus said, it's more blessed to give than to receive. I like giving gifts. I don't loan books. I've learned that it's too frustrating loaning books because you don't remember who's got them. And when you want them back, somebody else has them and you can't remember who has them. So what do? I just buy books and give them away to people. Now, once Christmas is over, depending on your house, it's time to put up the decorations. Oh, the nativity scene. Is your nativity scene going to stay out year round? Do you have one that you can display year round? This one sits on my dresser in my bedroom. It was a gift from my grandparents. And so it's kind of that sentimental thing that I like to keep around. And I don't want to put it away. I do have to remember to dust it off every so often because it gets dusty. But I like nativity scenes. I'm not going to decorate my house with them all over the place, but maybe one or two here or there just to remind me of how beautiful the birth of Jesus is. When I look at a nativity, it brings a certain peace and calm to me. I feel when I look at it that it is Christ with us. That's what it reminds me of. I'm also reminded when I see this that just as he was coming then, he is coming again, and it's important that we be ready. When Jesus was born, I think Mary was ready. Maybe she wasn't physically ready because when I don't know, I've never given birth to a child, but I remember when our children were born, it was a part of being physically ready for us to get to the hospital and do what needed to be done. But Mary was emotionally or maybe mentally ready because she knew it was Jesus and she knew Jesus was going to be born, not just because of what the angel had said to her, but because of the prophecies that she had heard over her lifetime. And one of those prophecies is found in the book of Isaiah in the 9th chapter, and it starts at verse 2. And these are the words that we read. The people walking in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of the shadow of death, a light has dawned. You have enlarged the nation and increased their joy. They rejoiced before you as people rejoice at the harvest, as men rejoice when dividing their plunder. For the day of the Midian's defeat, you have shattered the yoke that burdens men, the bar across their shoulders, the rod of their oppressor. Every warrior's boot used in battle, and even garments rolled in blood, will be destined for burning, will be the fuel for the fire. For to us a child is born, for to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders. And he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Isn't that great? I love that promise. And I think that that was one of the many promises that Mary was clinging to that made it possible for her to give birth to this child. But I think there's one passage, and I think that this passage has been standing out to me this week as I look at it, as it says in Isaiah 9, verse 2. And I think it's one of those verses that I feel like kind of like a bug. I'm drawn to this verse. It says, "The people walking in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of the shadow of death, a light has dawned." The birth of Jesus is not the beginning of his story. His existence, you might say, that his birth is just really the middle of his story because he began all the way back in the beginning with God. When God created heavens and earth and man and woman, he said, let us, being plural, make man in our own image. And when we read in the book of John, John says, in the beginning was the Word, which is Jesus, the same was with God. So we have Jesus all the way back in the beginning, and his birth is just really the introduction to meet the flesh of Jesus. And when we read of his birth in Matthew, especially starting in chapter 2, Chapter 1 is when the genealogy of Jesus. Chapter 1 is also Joseph being told that the baby is going to be born. Chapter 2 is the entrance of the wise men. And I love how it says, we have seen his star in the east and we have come to worship him. They saw a light, and it was a light that guided them. No, did the shepherds see a light? Yeah. Did the shepherds see the star? No. The shepherds saw the light of a heavenly host of angels singing and praising glory to God in the highest and peace on earth to all men. Well, how did they know where to go? Well, they were told they would find the baby in a manger wrapped in swaddling clothes. I don't know because I've never been there, but there had to be more than one stable. There must have been a multitude of stables. There must have been multitudes of mangers, but only one's going to have a baby in it. Did they go door to door? Manger, may we check your manger? May we check your manger? May we check your manger? No, I don't think they did that. I don't think they went to house, barn to barn, manger to manger. I really believe that they had a GPS system of the Holy Spirit or an angel leading them on the path to go and see this child. The beauty of the shepherds getting to see Jesus is that it shows us that Jesus came for all people, because shepherds were not really that highly looked upon. They were kind of the lower of the social chain. And so they got to see him, proving that Jesus came to all people. But let's think about what Isaiah is saying here. He said, the people walking in darkness have seen a great light, and on those living in the land of the shadow of death, a light has dawned. All around you and me are people that are walking in darkness. How can they see the light? I remember helping my dad work on the car when I was younger, and one of my jobs was holding the light. If you've ever had that, that's a very difficult job. It's a very intense job. It's a very important job, and you're always being told you're not doing it right. But the other side of the coin is, if you pay attention, you're getting a free education on how to work on cars, or you're getting a career teaching where you say, I don't think I want to do that the rest of my life. But holding that light is a great thing. It's a great time to be with Dad. Light removes the darkness, and you can see where you are going. Those living in the darkness need someone to hold the light. Guess who the light holders are? Yeah, us. We're the light holders. We usually don't see it until we look back. But God, I think God is regularly working all things out for the good of those who love him. When he gets the chance for us to be the light, he sometimes causes things not to work out the way we desire them to. Our schedule doesn't work out, and we start to get frustrated when things don't go as we think they should, according to our plan. But don't get frustrated. Think about it. God is working out some details that we don't even know about. So let me tell you this story. A friend of mine asked me the other day, hey, do you know somebody that can use this desk? And I usually know somebody that is looking for this or looking for that. But that's not where my mindset was. My mindset was, yes, I know someone. We got to get it over to Stillwater, the town near us, and we need to get it to the super thrift store, because the super thrift store, it raises money for a group called Teen Challenge. And these are adults that are going through healing from addiction. And that's what this Teen Challenge does. So they have a thrift store there. They raise money through this. And every time that I have tried to take this desk over there, my friend's been busy using his pickup or his other vehicle, and I couldn't take it. Finally, I knew I had just a little bit of time because I've got this going on, that going on. I said, let's see if it will fit in my car. It fit with just a little bit of space left over. We go over there, and I back up to the loading dock, and one of the young people, the young man, young adult that is going through the program says, I like your tag. My tag on my vehicle is the number 1, GR, number 8, GOD. One great God. And I said, so do you know what this sticker is? Do you know what this marathon sticker is? It's 793.8. Do you know what that means? No clue. Well, if you go to the library, it's a Dewey Decimal number for magic. I'm a pastor, but I also do gospel illusions and ventriloquism. It's why I'm opening a door. I'm bridging a relationship. And we got the desk out, and I said, "Hey, let me show you this." And I pull this little magic trick I carry with me. It's a $2 bill, and we go through the $2 bill trick, and I get to share Jesus, and I tell him that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through him. So what I'm getting to do here is I'm getting to be a light. I'm getting to help this person get out of the darkness. My friend's busyness was God's way of making a way to do something where there was no other way. I got to be a light to someone who has been in darkness and is seeing more and more the light. It was a blessing to this young man. It was a blessing to me, a blessing to my friend who got rid of his desk, and then I got to tell him about how it was a light to this guy, and my friend's a believer, and then now it's also being a blessing to you and me because I get to tell you this story. And another friend who is one that really got Teen Challenge started in Stillwater, I tell him the story and I got to bless him. Those in darkness need to see a light. The light is Jesus, and you need to make sure that your light is burning bright and you're not just flickering or a burned out bulb. Jesus said in Matthew chapter 5, starting verse 14, "You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people put light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before men, that they may see your good deeds and praise your Father in heaven." Jesus said, let your light shine. Letting our light shine brings praise to God the Father, and God inhabits the praises of his people. The light bulb in a flashlight is just so bright. If you hook it up to a battery without in the flashlight, it is not really that bright. But you put it inside the flashlight, and it's got that concave reflection in it, and it becomes even more powerful. So you and me, what we are, we're the reflector. We're not the power. We're just reflecting the power. And what we need to remember, as I often say, blessed are the interruptions, for they too need Jesus. When Jesus was born, he conquered fear, or fear died. We need to be careful we don't try to resurrect our fear again. The wise men came, and they came to worship Jesus because they had seen his light. Herod was furious, and Herod was threatened at the same time because he knew that Jesus was more powerful than him. The wise men were ordered by Herod, but they technically had a responsibility to obey Herod and go back and tell him where Jesus was. But when they met Jesus, they saw Jesus, they were overcome by love. Love grabbed their heart, and they were led to this baby, and love just overcame them in so many different ways that they reset their GPS and went home a different way. God reset their GPS for a different way to their home. We all have our fears. Now, yes, I'm afraid of snakes. I have nothing to do with snakes. But we have other fears as well that we don't really like to talk about. Maybe it's praying in public. Maybe it's speaking in public. Maybe it's going and helping someone else. Maybe not a fear for our life like the wise men had, but we have a fear that can paralyze us. It can keep us from being the light that God created us to be. And if we're not careful, that fear will paralyze us and push us into addictions, into damage to ourselves, into sin. So our fear keeps us from being the light that God created us to be. Our fear can keep us from being transparent before the one who sees right through us. We fear we don't measure up, but we're only fooling ourselves because our measuring device is defective, and we're measuring ourselves by other people. God is the only standard that we should have. We forget that Jesus promised to never leave us nor forsake us. And when we surrender our life to Jesus, our fear should disappear because we are no longer operating in our own power. We are empowered by him, and his light can shine a lot brighter in the darkness than our own light can. When we will begin being love, and when we will begin to love others more than we fear rejection or failure, love wins. We don't have to fear. We need to just love more. As a follower of Jesus once said in 1 Peter 4:8, above all, cancel everything else out. Above all, love each other deeply because love covers a multitude of sins. Placing our fear at the feet of Jesus is cleaning the reflector off and allowing the light of Jesus to shine no matter where we are. Whether it be at work, at a restaurant, where we donate to a thrift store, or when we give to a ministry like Operation Christmas Child of our time, talent, treasure, and touch. We are reflecting the light of Jesus. And this reflector doesn't absorb light. It is to magnify and to intensify the light. So the greatest gift that you can give at Christmas is the gift of the love of Jesus. Whether you do that through words, a license tag, or anywhere else, just be the light of Jesus wherever you are, because blessed are the interruptions, for they too need Jesus. Thanks so much. Merry Christmas to you. Bye-bye.